Why did you go into pharmacy?
In short, money. I grew
Okay.
up pretty poor, and it was in the Korean newspaper at the time growing up. Pharmacist is one of the best jobs at the
Oh, it
current time.
was really? Okay, I don't
Yeah.
remember that.
The irony was by the time I graduated, there were no jobs left. It was too saturated. There were too many pharmacists by that point because of messages like that.
So, did your parents want you to do that, or you wanted to do it?
It was me. Yeah. My
Okay,
my mom was just like, "What? Like I didn't think you would go into
really?
healthcare and stuff like that."
Uh-huh.
Yeah. They were very yeah, my mom was very like trusting of me of my decisions.
Oh, so you were not okay, so you were not my parents were the same. They did not tell me to do a certain they did
Yeah.
not typically tell me to become a doctor or lawyer or something like that,
Right.
right? So, how long did you do that until you realized, like, this is not what I want to do?
Yeah, so I barely got by, my pharmacy school. I think if I, like, had a little bit of a lower grade, I would have flunked out.
Oh, okay.
So I barely passed, and the irony was I got the job that all, like, the valedictorians wanted, which was at a hospital job, and I was there for 3 years. And then so 3 years after working, I was just like, I wanna change."
Okay, so you're what, like 20 what at the time? 3 years in pharmacy, your late 20s?
Yeah, so I graduated pharmacy school at 24, and
Okay.
then at 27 was when I quit.
You're
Yeah.
like
I
and were
was
you
working
married by then?
Yeah, I got married right out of college. Yeah.
Okay. So you're like kinda and you grew up very religious,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Very
Your
involved.
your your family was? Your whole family was?
My mom
Okay.
and, I were because of my mom, she brought me to church, and then I got very involved growing up. Became part of leadership, worship leader for Sunday school, EM, yeah,
Uh-huh.
English ministry, yeah.
Okay, so this is really interesting because there's all these like narratives kind of playing out there, right? Like you're supposed to do this. This is in New York,
Yes.
and then you go into pharmacy. Your mom didn't even tell you to do that, but you did it
Yeah.
because you were telling yourself that I need money,
Yes.
right? And then did you decide I don't need money by the time you were 27? Like, how did all that change?
I think the pain just became so great.
Uh-huh.
It's like one of those realizations, it's like, you have a guaranteed six-figure salary right out of college as a pharmacist. Now the money's there. I have the nice, like, sports car I always wanted, the beautiful new apartment in Queens, like, brand new. And your anxiety is still there, your stress is still there, and I think just the pain just became so great. After 3 years, I'm like, "I don't know what it is, but I wanna figure this out." Oh, and there was an opportunity because I was getting into filmmaking
Mhm.
towards that point.
So, what did your wife say at that point when you wanted to drop out of pharmacy and
Yeah,
stop that?
she is so, like, chill with
Uh-huh.
that kind of stuff. Like, I literally one night, because the opportunity came to work with a group of filmmakers in California, and I was just like, "What do you think about me quitting my job?" And we spend 2 months on the road, just on our cross-country road trip, see the country, and then move to LA to try this filmmaking thing out. She just said, "Okay." And then we did it. Yeah, we moved into our parents' house for a little bit to try to get all our stuff together because we cut our lease, and then we moved out that summer.
So, when you look back on that, right? Like you're going down some pretty set paths,
Yeah,
like religious beliefs, family commitment now, you're married,
yeah.
you had this job. So I see like these three tracks and they're pretty set. And people don't veer off those tracks typically,
Yes.
right? The pain was so great. Tell me about what that was. Like what was so bad?
Coming from I think it had a lot to do with, like, the brokenness of family, right?
Hmm.
So my dad left our family when I was a teenager, so there's, like, a lot of anger,
Hmm.
resentment, um, and oh, yeah, there was a lot of money problems. So my father, wasn't the best with managing finances. So, like, to give you an idea, like, I found out later on that he gambled my college savings they had for me when I was a little kid, right?
Oh,
And
really?
lost it all. And, he was a serial entrepreneur that wasn't succeeding.
Okay, I love.
You
Okay,
see
okay.
what I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So he ruins his credit because he's
Uh huh.
taking out loans and credit cards all the time, so his credit score's gone.
Right.
And then when that happens, he used my mom's name to open up all these accounts, and now my mom's credit got ruined. So I'm the little kid, I remember getting I don't know if you ever got a phone call from a debt collector. They're very aggressive and very mean. And imagine a little kid picking up a phone, like, saying my dad's name or my mom's name
Yeah.
and yelling at me to, like, figure out a way to get them money. So then that's when I was just like, "Oh, this must be the problem in our house. We need to make more money." That's why mom and dad's never home. That's why I don't have the connection with them that I so I think it stemmed a lot from childhood.
So there's like weird money. Money's a weird thing because it's like it is such a powerful force, right? Like
Yeah.
so much of our lives are shaped by it and our thinking. I told you this the other day. Like I remember, like when I was doing all this like self work and meditation and stuff. Like I remembered, I think it was like second or third grade. We had a field trip or like just a special day at school. And that Friday, it's crazy that I remember it was a Friday. Of
Mm,
course, it was a Friday because it was like the end of the week, right? And we were all going to order hoagies, like sandwiches, like subs from the local like pizza shop, and it was $5. And I never asked my parents. I didn't even bring it up because I was like, we just don't have money. I thought that as a third grader. So I didn't ask them for $5
yeah.
for a sandwich. And so then I didn't eat that day.
Right.
And just
Yeah.
sort of like, oh, these are crazy narratives. And it's like running concurrent with all the other things that you're doing. Um, I don't remember a debt collector ever calling me or my family. They probably did. But I do remember after I turned 18, I got some notices in the mail and I found out that my dad had used my social security number and name to apply for a credit card. And I was like, I never applied for this credit card.
Wow.
Yeah. So there that's super loaded with tons of stuff, right? Like emotion around it. Like he was not a serial entrepreneur. He was just serially unsuccessful. Sorry, dad, if you're watching this, I'm just, telling the truth, right? Never really held a job. Like he did, but he could never make ends meet, and now we're on much better terms.
Mm,
And he's actually said to me now, which is weird because I don't really feel that I need it. He's sort of like, I'm sorry I didn't make more money when I was a kid,
mm,
when you were a kid.
yeah.
And I'm like, I think I would have been okay with less money if you just weren't like a raging
Right.
emotional wreck and drunk and, causing all sorts of other harm, right? It was actually that, not the money.
Yeah.
And it's weird that we think that money is going to like solve everything. That's what you thought. You realize the pain is too great,
Yeah.
but there's no money in filmmaking. So what do you,
Yeah.
so explain that. Were you just like, oh, fine, I don't need any
Well,
more
I got
money?
so
Like,
jaded because it's like, okay, I have the thing that I thought I wanted.
yeah.
I have my salary, but I was also overworking. I was working 3 jobs, right? Still as a graduate because I was so money hungry. And then you get burnt out and you're like, "You know what? I'll just give this thing a try." Like this find your passion thing, right?
Hmm.
I was getting into filmmaking. These 3 guys, the reason I said yes to them was because they were 3 Asian dudes that left behind more prestigious
Oh,
careers.
so they left more money and then you're
One
like,
guy was
okay.
a director at the White House under Obama. The second guy was like a Wharton grad, went to worked at Bain and quit that,
Uh-huh.
right? It's like a really big consulting firm. And then the third guy was a Harvard med student. So I'm like, they all left behind this to make videos on YouTube. I'm like, it gave me the courage to be like, hey, if you guys are doing it, like, okay, I'll try it out. So it helped to have that community, if that makes sense, to make the leap.